you can see that the topic right now that is up there is don't give up. And we are not talking about our original topic, which was depression, which is, and those of you who are joining, hello, assalamu alaikum, from wherever you are. I may not be able to see you because the number I'm seeing over here is higher than the people that I see over here. So, and if I don't see you and I don't say hi, just assume that I can't see you over here. Okay. So I decided to change up the topic because we can talk about depression itself as an illness and how it happens and what chemical changes in your brain take place and how it affects a person slowly and gradually and why it goes unnoticed most of the time because it's not something solid and tangible and you see it, the signs are very subtle. And that's why it's important to know the difference between just somebody being sad or just situational depression, which is something bad has happened to somebody and they're going through, my glasses refuse to clean, and they're going through something that's happened in their life recently or, something of that sort. But now this is something that is real that they need help with. So it's important to know the difference. Whether it's yourself or it's somebody you care about, it is important because they need your help, right? So that we will talk about. Maybe next time we'll pick up that topic because, well, extremely important and extremely relevant to our lives. What we are talking about today is also extremely important and relevant to our lives. And that came to me just today. Are you seeing these circles behind me or is it just me? I don't. So, and the reason I decided to change topic was because today, everything is closed up. We're sitting inside. I'm in Lahore and we're sitting here because, PTI is going to Islamabad because they want Imran Khan to be released. And I am not, talking about taking sides or anything like that. This is not a political thing in any way. But what it is just the hopelessness and helplessness. And we'll talk about whether we should have this or not. But just that of people like us who just sit here and try to change the system and help out and do whatever we can for our country. And we'll start with our country, with Pakistan, because a lot of us that I know that I see here are from this country. We try to change and we try to participate in the political system in the right way, in the proper way, in the way that we should participate. And then we see everything just going completely wrong and just going, in circles. You start with something and you say, okay, this is the change that we wanted. This is the change that we were looking for. And then it just do fireballs everywhere, right? After a year, 2 years, or however much time. And you just think, so this is what I fought for. And I know that we all feel that at some level, no matter what political party or religious party or organization you belong to, or if you don't belong to any of them, and you sat on the sidelines waiting for something to change. Either way, and it's a good thing. We should be working towards something. We should belong to something. We should constantly be trying. But there comes a point where you do feel kind of, okay, now what? And I feel like if you look at events within our country and within outside Pakistan, I feel like that's the time where we're starting to feel that way. So I felt maybe we should talk about what's happening and maybe we should just go into a little bit of detail on what we should do next. And I think you can tell by the title what I'm going to tell you, but it is important to talk it out and just kind of, see how. We all know that hopelessness and helplessness, that's not something. It's okay to feel it, but it's not okay to dwell in it. So we know that, but how do we do that? How do we not let ourselves go deeper and deeper? Hello to everybody who's joining in. So how do we not dwell deeper and deeper into it? That becomes a real question, right? And then if we go out of our country a little bit, and we'll just talk about, particular events, and then we'll talk about how not to, give up and how not to let this affect us so much. And by affect us, I don't mean not have feelings about it. I just mean not get hopeless again, for lack of a better word. Now we look around the world. When we first, when the whole Palestine thing started, when I say look back, I'm talking about a year ago. This didn't start a year ago, and we have to be very clear on that. And I know that we all know that, but sometimes it's hard to be clear on it because that is the agenda of some powers. Not all of them, some powers. And because we can't just believe that we're not powerful, right? We can't. Who's more powerful than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Who's more powerful than that? And we are working for him. We're working for what he represents. So we can't assume that we're not powerful either. So some worldly powers believe that it started on October 7th, right? That's what they want everybody to believe in. They believe it, but we know better. We know better than that. But these severe attacks, when they started, that's, when we go back to that a year ago, or now more than a year ago, everything felt like it's upside down. The world our world as we know it, shattered around us. And it felt that way because we had always heard of these wars, and we had always, dealt with these wars in a historical perspective. We learned about these wars. I'm sorry. What is this? And we had learned about these wars when we were in school or college, or those of you who are in school or college, or helping your kids learn in their schools and colleges, right? So we had learned about it there, and I know all of you can agree with the sentiment that when we're learning with our kids, or ourselves learning, even now when you read history, or not so much anymore, but now when you read history, when we used to, up until a year ago, our emotion used to be, how did the world let it happen? दुनिया देख रही थी और ये हो रहा था, and nobody stopped it, and nobody stopped to think कि ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है? It doesn't matter who these people are, but they're human. How would you let this happen? How would people just stand by and let these kinds of things happen? How would so-and-so allow it? How would so-and-so blah blah blah? They're also human, right? So-and-so had kids, and so-and-so, even about politicians, we would just be like, but they also had kids, but they had families, but they had, brothers and sisters, and we would just go on and on about that, right? We would wonder about these people. We would wonder about the world. And many times our excuse would be, for many of them, well, news traveled slowly. They didn't have means to understand things this way. And all of those little things that we considered to be possibilities, to not think of the world as such a terrible place where people would be watching every day, every second of every day, every split second, news would be in front of them, and they would still choose not to do anything. they would still choose to make excuses for it. Right? So now we know that it happens. And now we see it. And what's happening with us a year on, a year after that, is that we're seeing it, we're watching it, we know it, and we've tried it. We've tried helping. We have been. We've been within our capacity, because everybody has their own limitations. And everybody does what they can within, like I spoke about, our own country, how we help our country and how we work, for democracy in our country, to help the people of our country in whatever capacity that we do. We're doing it. We still are doing it. And then every time our country is closed down because somebody wants something else, and then the government wants something else, and nobody is getting anything, and it's a standstill. And who's suffering for it? People like you and me. And we get hopeless. And more than that, the helplessness brings the hopelessness, right? So same for there, that we are doing what we can, and then we realize the world watches. And what do we get for this? We've tried so hard. And where are we today? We thought it would be a month, 2 months, 3 months, and finally people will wake up, like the governments. People will be able to pressure their governments. I mean, how would this be possible that this is happening, and the world governments, the public, will not be able to pressure their governments? And to their credit, the people around the world are opened up to this, and they are pressuring their government, to the governments. Most of the people, most of the public in most countries are pressuring their governments, but that's not the problem. The problem is that the governments have enough control not to listen, because that's not where the power is. So the one thing that is off topic and makes you realize that all these countries that speak about free world and democracy and say that they have democracy in their countries, and the global south, which is us, that we don't have democracy, this shows you that they don't have democracy because they're not listening to their people. So that shows you very obviously that it's not their votes that gets them into power, that brings their governments. They don't need that. It's the businesses they have with big trading companies, with other governments, with, that's a whole other topic. So yeah, it's not their public. And now I think their public is also realizing that it's not us. These countries have never been a democracy. They've never cared about us. They've never needed us to build their governments. So the people are basically dispensable for them. Different topic. So all this hopelessness, after trying for so long, so hard, brings you down. And then what becomes easy for all of us? To just kind of close your eyes to it. Just kind of say, you know what, I can't anymore. I can't keep trying for my country and not get anywhere. We're still at the same standstill that we were 5 years ago or 10 years ago, where two parties, political parties, are standing in front of each other and nobody is reaching out. And in the end, one of them is just going to have the army on their back, and they're going to railroad the other one. I'm sorry, I know I'm saying it, I don't know if I should or not, but that is what ends up happening. And whether right or wrong, good or bad, that's not making a prediction. It's just an opinion. Same thing over there. Like, we've spent almost a year and a half, and now, yeah, we're saying that, there's a, warrant out for Netanyahu's arrest, and that's a good thing. But over there also, nothing has stopped. That hasn't stopped any activity from taking place. Okay, I'm stretching it, and this one keeps falling out. But I don't need to hear anything, so I'm okay. So, but nothing has stopped. So that gets us in that place where we can justify it as, okay, well, most of the work is done. Now if something has to stop, it will stop. But it's not stopping. There are operations in Lebanon, there's operation in Yemen, especially Lebanon, with Palestine and Gaza, especially Lebanon. It's getting worse and worse. So while it's a good thing that there's a warrant out, and in 123 countries, they can't, like there's a big, they can't go to 100, he can't go to 100, the two of them, Gallant and Netanyahu, can't go to 123 countries in the world. That's a good thing. At the same time, the killing of innocent people, the bombing of homes and infrastructure in the countries has not stopped. So yeah, that does get you a little, it makes you want to, and the first reaction is I don't want to look at it, because if I can't help anymore, if all the efforts I've made, or if I don't know what else to do, then I just don't want to know. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to deal with it. And because it's not just them, right? And it's not just our entire country and the political system and all of that. We have our personal issues as well. I mean, we were going to talk about depression, and our own personal life causes a lot of trauma and a lot of issues. And that's what causes depression as well, along with the brain issues. All right. Hi to everybody else who's been joining us. I just didn't want to break my flow. So, including our traumas and our responsibilities, our children, our husband, our work, if we live with extended family, all of that causes a lot of issues also. So including all of that, it just feels like too much. So the first thing that goes is everybody else that's outside of our personal circle. And that's completely understandable. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, in the sense that we're human, right? That's going to happen. That will be the first reaction, because not just that these things bring on more trauma. Not just that these things bring on more trauma, they can cause new trauma as well. There are definitely triggers for old trauma, but they bring on new trauma, because you're watching all these videos and pictures and all these, conversations with these people who've been through so much. Of course, it's going to bring on some kind of trauma, right? So at this point in our lives, with everything that's happening inside and outside of our circles, what is the solution? Right? That's the most important thing that we need to focus on. How do we move forward? Because if we don't do anything, whether it's for our country, all the poverty, all the other issues that are happening in our country, including the toxic air that we're breathing here in Punjab, and all the other issues that we have in our country, and then a lot around the globe, what do we do? Because I understand that we do get tired. So the first thing I would tell you is you don't have to watch and listen to all those. I mean, of course, keep up with the news, because I wouldn't suggest that you just stop any kind of information intake. That wouldn't be the right thing to do. But I would say to stop consuming images. There's no need to watch those, graphic images or videos or even interviews if that's not doing anything positive for you. You don't have to do that anymore, because we've been doing that for over a year. And, in the beginning we needed that to understand what's happening. But now we get it. We know it. So stop that. Give your brain a break from all of that. Because especially as women, as sisters, mothers, daughters, all of that, it's a lot. Because you see your brother in every man. You see your own kid or your younger brother or your cousin or whoever in every child. So that's a lot. That is a lot to take in. So take a break from that. consume news and articles and news reports that don't have images or videos. And that will help you in minimizing the guilt and the anger. Because when you're looking at images and the videos, that brings on the guilt and the anger. Because you feel helpless and hopeless. And then you feel guilty for not doing enough. Even though our enough is different from other people's enough. And when you feel you're not doing enough, you feel guilty. And when you feel guilty, you feel angry. So anger is always a response to some other emotion. Anger is never isolated. Anger is not just, you just get up and get angry out of nowhere. That never happens. So whenever you're feeling angry or someone else is angry around you, always try to figure out what is the emotion behind that anger. Unless you figure out the emotion behind that anger, the anger is going to keep coming back up again and again. It's a little tidbit for you right there. So when all these things are happening, and like I said, because anger is a result of another emotion, that anger is not going to go away. And that anger is not going to go away, then your reaction to that anger is going to come out in your everyday life. You will be frustrated. You will be on edge in your daily life, and that will affect your family and your work and everything else that is important to you. And don't minimize your efforts. Don't say that you haven't been doing enough or that you need to do more. No, that's also not the solution, because it's been you with everything else that you have going. You've been doing what you can, and that is enough, because we don't need to do more than we're able. We need to do as much as we can with all of our responsibilities and all of the things that we have going on in our lives. Yeah, we do need to sit down and evaluate that with all of the things that we have going on, with those things, are we doing enough? With all those things in our lives, are we doing enough for our country? Are we doing enough for the people suffering around the world, not just in Palestine or Lebanon, but in Sudan, in Myanmar, in India? Because just recently, a day or 2 days ago, there was a mosque. Now they're just like checking all the land, the religious, like mosques and other religious places that are to check if the Mughals, time of the Mughals or even before that, if those people took down their, like, India's religious, like Hindu religious places, took those down and built mosques on it. And if they did, then they want to, take mosques down. Or other religious places like madrasas or whatever it may be. And so one of those places, I'm sure you guys heard of it, I'm just repeating it to you. One of those places, people who were taking care of it or were inside of it, the mosque, refused to leave, and the police opened fire on them. Unarmed people inside the masjid, they opened fire on them. So all these people, these issues need to come out. They need to be told to the people. So we need to see where people need help and in what capacity. We may not be able to send them money. We may not be able to physically go there and do anything for them, but there are plenty of ways to help those people, and you need to find how we can do it, how you can do that. And you have to also realize certain things, a few things, not certain, few things. Just because you are not doing things the way this person or that person or the person sitting in front of you is doing those things, doesn't mean you're not doing enough. Just because you're being told that you're not doing enough doesn't mean you're not doing enough. So when I said that you have to sit down and figure out your own timeline, how much do you do in a day and how much time you can put in a day or in a week or in a month, I don't mean compared to other people. I mean compared to your own day, your own timeline with your kids, your husband, your work, or whatever other responsibilities you have. It's important that you keep that in focus because you're doing it for a greater cause. The first thing is to make Allah happy. And Allah is not going to compare you to other people. Right? We all know that. And the second reason you're doing it for is because it's the right thing to do. And I don't think there should be a third reason. I can't imagine a third reason. If you have a third reason in your head, that's fine, but it shouldn't be because so-and-so is doing it and so-and-so is going to judge me. And there shouldn't be a third reason. And if you really want a third reason, then make it this one. That there's been an extensive research that scientists have discovered, and psychologists they're also, psychiatrists and psychologists are also involved in research, that a person who helps people for external, for reasons, for just to help, just to be helpful and just to do good things for the reason of doing good things, no intrinsic benefit, just does good to do good, those people are happier and have a better quality of life. They live longer and they live a healthier life than those who either don't do good things, like are more selfish, or do good things to show off or to make others happy. Because somebody told you to, because your mom said, go do this, and you did it, or because your spouse is, into, I don't know, philanthropy, so you just join in. So if there is a third reason, make it that. For a better life, better quality of life. So just find what is important to you, what is meaningful to you, and set your priorities according to that, and find time for your neighborhood, your country, the global neighborhood, as we say, and keep doing things for them. Because again, you're doing it to please Allah. You're not responsible for the results. First of all, we're seeing the results very, very slowly. But again, you and I are not responsible for the results. You and I are just responsible for doing what we think is right. For keep on trying. That's the task we have been given by Allah, to keep trying. Now, how do we handle our family and the people that we are around when it comes to these kinds of issues? Because, that's the first question. That's the first and the biggest question that I feel like that comes up, especially as a mother that we have to deal with. Our kids are asking questions. They want to know. They want to wonder. I'm sorry, there's a comment. Right. So how do you deal with your kids when they're asking you questions about these difficult choices, right? When they're asking you about these difficult issues, when they're asking you about, what's happening in Pakistan? Why are we constantly having these closures, these, countries shutting down, and this party is fighting with that party, and this person is fighting with that person, and when my kids come home with these, first we'll start with Pakistan. When my kids come home, because it's easier to deal with global issues, then because it's very clear, right? It's very clear cut that what we can tell them and how we deal with how we give them information. But when it comes to Pakistan, it's a little bit harder to explain these things to them because I want them to grow up and make their own political choices, make their own decisions on who they're going to choose and what party they're going to go with, once their brains are capable of making that decision. So I don't want to feed my ideas into them because then it's just they go back to school. What happens is what's happening with other children, and then it's just a fight back and forth because the kids are fighting about, and then their friends are fighting with each other, and they get it. And I don't want them to escalate that fight and just be a part of it, right? So they'll come home and just say things like, Imran Khan was a better choice for the country. This person now is he's just whatever. And so-and-so shouldn't have done this, and so-and-so shouldn't have done that. Then I'm like, do you even know who this person is? Do you even know Imran Khan? What? You were barely alive when Imran Khan was president or prime minister or whatever. And you barely know this person. And not to put down Imran Khan, or not to put down this person, Shahbaz Sharif or whoever. Point is that they are not ready for this. Don't put your children in the middle of this conflict. They are not a part of this. Right now, tell them, look, what I would want you to do is observe. Let me tell you how Pakistan's political system works, and not the textbook system. Don't get them confused with the assembly and the Senate and this and the that. No, don't get them, that's the school's doing that boring job. Let school take care of that. Just tell them the fun stuff. This person came to power and then this person, and try not to put your biases into it. I just give them a little bit of, information here and there. This person does this and this person does that. Meaning in terms of what their job is and who's doing it right now and what Imran Khan was doing and what he is accused of. We're not going to say he did do it and he is a criminal. We're not going to say that because it's not our place to say. Because we don't know. We just know what the media tells us, and we know the media is never 100%. I mean, I'm a journalist and I can admit that, and maybe I can admit it because I'm a journalist, right? So you give them the information as it is, and then tell them, look, don't fight about things that you guys are not 100% sure of, right? Have a discussion, have a open conversation where you can both hear both sides of the story, and then have a conversation about it. So keep it open because you want them to grow up having to hear everybody, being able to listen to the other person, being able to understand the other person. And that's a very unique and important life skill that many of us Pakistanis, or anywhere in the world, honestly, we're not able to do, especially when it comes to our politics. Because we get so engrossed in, if we have decided on a particular political candidate or party, and we will not budge, and we will accept anything that they're doing blindly, even if it's like right in front of our eyes and it's wrong. They can literally murder people in front of our eyes, and we will still say, find a loophole, or just go in circles and make up stories to justify the murder. And that is what's happening with Zionists right now. That they are making excuses and finding ways to justify the murder of massacre and genocide of millions of Palestinians. That's what's happening right now. And if you ever talk to them, which I haven't had the chance to do personally, and I wouldn't want to, but when you hear interviews or you see other YouTubers and whatnot having conversations, and that's what you see. They're making excuses and coming up with just insane arguments where it's like, do you really believe that? Being a human being, forget logical or intelligent, just a human being. Do you believe this? It's better to kill a child before, because they're going to grow up and kill us anyways, this kind of argument about a child, it's ridiculous. Like, that's the kind of stuff they come up with. So now, how do you explain to your child what is happening over there? Those of you who have younger children, 10, 8 and younger, maybe don't expose them to a lot of the violent stuff. Just tell them there's a conflict and the bad people are killing good people, and that shouldn't happen if they are exposed to it. For older kids, it's good to let them know what's happening, because age-appropriate ways, just kind of tell them that in a historical context, explain to them through the ayahs of the Quran about Bani Israel, and then explain to them that these are the same people and this is what they're doing to people in Palestine. And then explain to them, again, age-appropriate ways. You know your child, you know how they should be taught and told. There's no need to show them anything graphic, but do show them what's happening. There's a lot of images and a lot of pictures and posts that you can show them that are age-appropriate, that are proper, and don't try to hide violent stuff from them, because you and I both know our kids watch and listen to or whatever so have so much violence in their lives, and with movies and the songs they listen to and the games they play. There's plenty of violence, and we know that. So when it's real life, don't try to hide it from them. I mean, of course, we can't go overboard with that, but don't try to hide it from them. In an age-appropriate way, show it to them. And actually, it's a good way for them to learn the difference between this is just a game, this is not hurting anyone, this is just a movie, but this is how it hurts people when it's real. So really check yourself when you're so immersed in a movie or in a game and you're so eager and happy to kill people and hurt people. Watch yourself. This is how it is when it really happens. This is how badly it hurts. Again, age appropriate, please. That would be the key. That would be really, really important. So, and always when you're dealing with kids, the one thing I always say, it doesn't matter what age it is, make sure it's in a very, very safe environment. Make sure the conversation is not confrontational. Make sure it's not at a time or at a place when either one of you is uncomfortable. Make sure you make them feel that they are not being attacked or not being, like it's not something like, because a lot of times because we're upset and because we're feeling bad about what's happening and we're feeling bad about our own input in this and our own contribution in this. When our kids come and ask us a question, or they're watching a movie or playing a game, or when they're being a little more too callous about it, we'll say something like, well, look at you sitting here watching a game, or, yeah, you don't care about those lives while they're, and then we'll give them a lecture, or we'll be a bit harsh about it, or confrontational. Just make sure nothing like that happens, because we have to understand that the focus is to take care of the people who are hurting, who are in pain, and also to make sure that our kids truly understand what is happening. So if we get a bit harsh or confrontational, then it's not going to sink in, because they will have then they will have their guard up. You know how children can be. So it's important for us that at that time we let it go, and then find another time when we're calm and they're calm, and we can sit down and have that conversation. Even if it's 5 minutes. Believe me, kids are smart. They pick up very quickly. Like in 2-3 minutes, that's enough. They pick up. We need longer conversations because we feel like we need more time to, get the information into them, but they pick up very, very quickly. Now, what can we do? The quickest way and one of the most effective ways to help would be to just to use social media. Just get the information rolling. Keep passing on the information that we have. correct information, keep reminding people that the problem with Gaza is not over. We need to keep helping. Whatever fresh news comes out of it, comes out of there, remind people of other causes. And that's the most simplest and most effective way that we can help. And we can keep doing it day and night. Just keep, forward, whether it be other people's account on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever we can forward those. Just make sure these are authentic accounts, people who are actually helping. Just make sure that, we know who these people are. And just keep forwarding new information, keep forwarding ways to help, keep forwarding, places where you can tell other people how to help right now, what kind of help is needed. So that's the one thing that you can do that's like free and that can be done right away. Second thing is find those places that you can help in, whether it's adopting kids. I mean, obviously they're going to stay there with, their extended families or whatever, and you can pay for them, for their education, for their living expenses. Do that. And there's other things too, food and water and other medical needs, and you can pay for that as well. So go to those places where you can pay for those things. Find those websites, pay, and then also, again, like I said, spread it to other people so that they can help, whether it be through social media or through your personal contacts. Just spread the word. Just do that. So these are a couple of things, and there's a few more things you can do. And those, if you guys are interested, let us know. We can connect you on how you can help individuals and families. Other than that, but what that does, when you're constantly doing something, right? And again, like I said before, you don't have to have money to help. There are ways to help with money. And even in that, you don't have to have like thousands of rupees or thousands of dollars. You can have very little money, no money, or a lot of money. You can help. You can still help. But when you are doing something, you're constantly actively working on it, then that guilt goes away. And when the guilt goes away, the helplessness and the hopelessness goes away. And the fact that, nothing will change goes away. And things are changing very, very slowly, but they're changing. Right? They're changing. We see it now. There's a warrant out for the Prime Minister of Israel. Who would have thought that this would happen? At the most, there would be a ceasefire for another month. That was the most that we had in our heads. That would be like the luckiest thing that would happen. But this stops it for good if this happens. This would be a really good big step if this goes through, right? Inshallah. So just keep working on it. Drop, right? Just a little bit. We can't stop. If those people who have been working for a year and had not been, we wouldn't be here. And those people includes you and me. I would like to give myself credit, right? Those people includes you and me. Now, when we talk about our country, I had done a talk on our country, on this topic. And the things I had listed, again, talk about it on social media. Talk about, what is happening to our country. Talk about what is happening in India to our people, to Muslims. Talk about, how they treat their minorities. We get blamed for treating our minorities this way. And we do. We're not good to our minorities. There's no doubt about it. But we need to also worry about what India is doing. Because India is very close partners with Israel. And they're picking up, their techniques of how to treat Muslims from Israel, and they're on the same exact path. So I think that was a little bit off topic, but the point is to talk about these things, make people realize that we need to take a bigger stand, and we need to make our public realize that instead of fighting over which government and which political party, we need to unite on one thing, that we need our political parties to stop fighting and give us a proper election. And this whole thing has to stop. We can call our councillors, our tehsildars, we can call our governor, we can call, our prime minister. We have the right to do. We can even walk into the prime minister house and have a direct meeting with him. We can say, we got to meet with you. You can't do that. They won't let you. But I'm just saying, we can meet with our governor. We can talk about these issues. We can, it's just, this is something you work up to, of course. But we can make efforts. So again, the first effort would be to highlight these issues on social media. Then start meeting with our politicians. Start from very, very low, We can start meeting as mothers. We want to meet because there are issues that we want to control, that we want to fix in our society. Don't go big. These were just examples. Start with issues that we have in school. We have bullying is a huge problem in our school, in any school that you want to look at. So pick an issue, gather public for it that it concerns, and let's start working on it, right? But again, you have to care about it. Care a little bit. And I'm not saying that you guys don't. Of course you do. After caring, you just feel like, okay, I've cared so much, and there's no result. But you have to keep caring. That's where the don't give up comes in. Because you know what? Honestly, this is what this life is. And if any of you are still struggling with what do I do? Where do I start from? Contact me. Over here, email, my personal Instagram, anywhere. We can work out where you want to start from, depending on what your, strengths are and what you want to start, what you want to do. Definitely we can work on that, and we can get you started. Because the point is that we need to keep on it. We need to keep trying. We need to keep working on making our lives, this world, better. Because that's what we're here for. We're not here for trying for a little while and then when things don't go our way, to just give up. That's not what we're here for. It's going to be hard. And then it's going to get easy. And then it's going to get hard again. That's what this life is given to us for. And that is why when Allah says that He gives this burden of this life, of the Quran, and then this life, to different creations of His, and they all refuse to take the burden. They all refuse because it was too much. And we have it because we can handle it. We have it because we can do it. Because we are capable and we are strong enough. Because we have what it takes. I'm just going to end with this, with the translation of this surah. Surah Ash-Shura. Surah An-Shura. Let me go to it real quick. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Have we not caused your bosom to be wide open for you? So that's talking to the Prophet ﷺ, but every ayah of the Quran, every surah is talking to us as well, right? That's why it's still in the Quran. Because the Prophet ﷺ had many wahis that are not in the Quran, that were just for him, just for the Prophet. And we removed from you your burden that had almost broken your back. How many of us can look back and think about those things that we had, those difficult times that we had that almost broke us, that could have ended us in so many ways, psychologically and even sometimes physically, and we came out of it. And we raised high raised high your name. So undoubtedly, along with the hardship, there is ease. Undoubtedly, along with hardship, there is ease. Now it's interesting. um, in these ayahs, both times when hardship is mentioned, it says inna ma'al usri. It says al both times, which is the. Doesn't just say along with hardship there is ease. Along with the hardship there is ease. So it doesn't just, we have difficulty and then things get better over time. Yeah, this happens. But this one, it's talking about something that is so hard to handle, and that's been a complete. You've always felt like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get through this? So this is the difference between in Arabic, and I know in English as well. When you put the in front of anything, that is the ultimate thing. If you say along with a hardship, one of many, but when you say the, that's the ultimate. That is the big one. You see the difference here? So let's talking about this one big thing when you're going to have this one big problem, one big hardship, this thing that you feel like this is never going to end, and this is going to be something that I can never get over. How am I going to do this? How am I going to survive this? So Allah's saying twice that after that kind of hardship that you feel like you can never get out of, that you feel like it's going to beat you down, after that kind of hardship, there is ease. So when you are free, not if, when you are free from collective services, toil hard in worship. Like worship hard, pay attention and worship Allah. And towards your Lord, turn with eagerness. Eagerness with hope, with eagerness. So stay hopeful, guys. I was told you, no matter how hard the situation is for you, there is ease. There's definitely ease. So if Allah is guaranteeing you that there is ease, and Allah is telling you to keep working hard, to keep trying until He gives you ease, and keep your hope up, and not to give up, then what right do we have to be disappointed, to think that we don't have anything else left in us? We just don't have that right. Because Allah knows what we're capable of. And I think we are capable of more. Take a break. Close your eyes every now and again. Just, disappear for like an hour, 2 hours. If you're moms, I can't tell you to disappear for a whole day. But, keep taking your breaks. Keep taking time off. But then come back and do what needs to be doing. Do what needs to be done. All right. Thank you for your time. And thank you for paying attention and listening. And I hope this made sense. And I felt that this was needed for all of us because we're all kind of in that place. And winter is starting. So it's winter is also kind of hitting all of us, And we'll talk about depression next time. What is depression? The scientific term, what the scientific term means, and how it's applied, and all the details. All right. Have a good day, good afternoon, good evening, and we'll talk to you soon. Oh, and any of you who actually want to get started on on any kind of campaign that you think would be helpful, would keep you busy, and really want to make a difference, whether it's a local campaign or a global campaign that you want to work on. I'm here to help you out. Contact me any way you want. Email, DM, this Instagram, my personal Instagram. I'm here to guide you and help you in any way that I can. All right. Allah Hafiz.